Hey, this is Steve in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning, my friend, and you are listening to Light Talk.
And this is Ellen coming to you from the beautiful island of St. Bart's, and you are listening to Light Talk.
Coming to you direct from New York City, this is Dennis. And on this episode of Light Talk, we have a very special guest, designer, programmer, Matt Schiller.
And this is David coming to you from the beautiful Belmont Shore neighborhood of Long Beach, California. And if you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers
And Sister.
That's right, Ellen. Yeah, welcome everyone to episode 438. And first of all, we'd like to welcome Brother Steve back to the show. Hey, Steve. Good to have you back.
I tell you, it's rough being down here. We cannot make pizza in Texas. The water is just not right. The pizza in New York is oh my goodness, is to die for.
Speaking of New York, you had lunch with fellow brother Dennis Size, didn't you?
Yes, a lovely Greek meal. He gave me the tour of CBS Studios. It was just a great way to spend a Wednesday afternoon.
It was.
Wow.
It was great seeing you.
I only have one question. Did Dennis pick up the check?
He had to, because I slipped out the door. And it was just him at the he went to the he went to the bathroom, came back. I wasn't there. There's this check, and he had to pay the full $19.
Wow. Where'd you go? To the Soup Nazi?
Oh man, the $19 I think was for a drink. No, we went to a wonderful Greek restaurant. Just great food, just fantastic food.
Wow. Well, they do Greek well in New York.
What I want to know is if that's a Lumen Brothers thing, because Stan did the same thing, David did the same thing. Ellen, please don't do the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm on my way.
We're all going to mooch off of you.
So, Ellen, you should go, because we had your favorite seafood, octopus.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, Dennis, you like octopus, too.
Oh, I eat just about anything.
We'll just have to call you Octopussy.
Okay. We'll call you Blofeld.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the show. First of all, before we get started, I have a special announcement to any entry-level video designer or technician who may want to get involved with a great Southern California band who are now breaking into larger venues. And it's not my band. I'll tell you that right now. We're still doing the crappy venues. But a good friend of mine has this great 80s band. And they do a lot of video stuff, and they're looking for someone to basically help them out with it. Be like a partially designer, but mostly a tech. You don't have to have video equipment. Obviously, you do need to have some sort of a media server to use, but that's it, basically. This is all with rented equipment and stuff like that. So if any of you are interested, because this is how you get started. This is one way. Look, we're giving you an opportunity right here on Light Talk with the Lumen Brothers and Sister.
Is this LA based?
LA based, yes. It's actually Orange County based, but they do play LA as well. But yeah, it's Southern California. If you're interested, please contact me directly at davidmartinjacques@icloud.com, okay? DavidMartinJacques at iCloud.com, and I will hook you up with these people, these really great people. They're wonderful people, right? Anyway, enough of that. So as part of our Young Designers series, which is our ever popular thing that we've been doing for now, four times? We had 5 young designers. Please join the Lumen family in welcoming lighting designer and technician Matt Schiller to the show. Ellen, could you tell us a little bit about Matt?
Absolutely. After graduating from high school in 2015, Matt moved from Austin, Texas to Las Vegas, Nevada to complete an internship with PRG. After the internship, he was sent out on his first PRG tour and has been on the road ever since. He joined IATSE 720 in Las Vegas and has worked with companies such as Upstaging, Solotech, Volt Lights, and Light Alt. Through these companies, he has worked on tours including Stevie Nicks, Bob Seger, Nine Inch Nails, Kings of Leon, Journey, and others, with work ranging from a tech to crew chief to programmer. More recently, he has been working as the network/front of house tech for Dead & Company and Backstreet Boys during their residencies at Sphere Las Vegas. From joining the technical theater program in high school and watching his father run lights for Metallica and contribute to this industry, Matt's interest in being a part of the lighting world started long before his formal technical career began. And for extra credit, just let David know, who is Matt's dad?
Who is your dad, Matt?
My dad is Brad Schiller.
Brad Schiller, right. Brad Schiller. We've had him on the show.
All I had to do was listen to a former show.
Yep.
That's right, like 5 or 6 weeks ago or something
where
like that.
Brad just
My memory
waxed
is like
eloquently
lacking.
about his son.
Yeah, you bet you got big shoes to fill there.
Yeah, that I do.
Yeah, let me tell you, that Schiller guy, man, he's been around for a while.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Metallica. Hey, anyone who could survive Metallica, right? Come on. A tour with Metallica. How can you survive that? It's like with Ozzy, you know. Wow, that's some career you already have. You've been out for what, about 10 years? How long has it been?
Yeah, I've been touring about 10 years and just loved it and keep going.
I mean, that's great because we've really never had somebody from the touring industry on the show, except, a lot of the people we've had started their careers touring. And then we had Jim Waits, who started his career touring. We've had Ann Militello, right? She started her career touring. So there's a lot going on, as a stepping stone. But do you see yourself continuing in this area of touring?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I love being on the road and seeing all the new places. It's super cool and a ton of fun.
But now you're stuck in Vegas.
Yeah.
At some dump called Sphere. What the hell is that?
It's a big old video screen doing concerts in a movie theater. But
it's hard to notice. You blink and you miss it, right?
The scale in there is just unbelievable. It's really hard to describe.
Does it really feel like you're in a movie theater? I mean, I saw you two there and was like blown away. But when you're working in there, do you feel like you're more in a movie theater than a live event venue?
Not quite as much. I mean, it offers its individual challenges as there's not a whole lot you can, hang above or even really behind the screen. So you're kind of having to do everything from the ground. It's just a very different way of doing a show.
I have a question to kick this off. The Sphere is like the top of the heap in Las Vegas. How on earth did you get that job?
Just having been working with Upstaging, did Dead & Company with them. Been working with Upstaging for about 8 years, and they were like, "Hey, we got a, Dead & Company Sphere residency. You live local. We like having you. You want to do it?" I was, sure, why not? So I helped them with the load in on it last year for the first time. I only did the first show as I had to go do another tour. Then I came back this year and did their spring run, and then Backstreet Boys I have toured with in the past, and again, they wanted me back, and being local and having already been in there, it's a pretty easy phone call.
I'd like to hop on top of that real quickly, because that's going to take us back to how you got to the year. You said local 3 or 4 times, and understand one of the reasons why we're doing this series of young designers is because other young designers listen to us and they basically say, how did they get their start? And one of the things you mentioned was you developed the residency. You moved to Vegas. Could you tell us a little bit about that choice of moving to Vegas? Did you know you wanted to do Vegas shows, or you just realized that this was the best place for you to make connections?
I mean, after graduating high school, I kind of told my dad or my parents that I was like, I want to go into the lighting world and, do this for work. At the time, my dad had mentioned Vicki Claiborne was running the PRG internship. I'm not sure if she still does. And that was a great internship I started with their shop one, learned all to do all the shop work, and then they transitioned me into their concert touring one, and I helped tours prep all their shows, learned packing trucks and loading lights and teching things. And by the time they sent me out on the road, I knew how to fix most of the things that were out there and knew labelings, and had worked with a bunch of their crew chiefs already. So it was a fairly easy transition into going out on tour.
So it's good advice for young designers to go and find a shop. And even if it means, coiling cable and, and cleaning instruments and stuff like that, that's how you get your start.
Yep. I think for about a year solid, my friend and I taped every single cable loom that went out of the PRG Vegas shop.
So even your dad's pedigree didn't shoot you to the top right away?
No, it did not. But I appreciate learning from the bottom and of working my way up, because it's definitely helped a lot when going out on the road.
Yeah.
with all due respect to your dad, who we love, I don't know. It'd probably hurt you if you told people who you were. I'm surprised you didn't change your last name.
Not so much. It's it's cool to have. It's definitely, I know this.
Awesome. He's a great guy.
Yeah. It was fun growing up, watching him do Metallica and all these other big shows at the time. So,
what did you learn at that internship that was completely unexpected, and it was a moment and you went, wow, this is great. This is something wonderful.
I mean, I really think just that attention to detail and making sure everything is labeled so well and properly that no matter who you tell it to going into any venue anywhere in the world, it can kind of be understood and you can get the show up and running in 4 or 5 hours.
Is Vegas where they based their whole internship program?
It was at the time. I'm not sure if it still is. They might offer something in New York, but I couldn't say for sure.
So you didn't go to university at all. You just went from high school to the industry?
Yep, just went right into the internship and have worked up through that.
That's cool.
You're following the footsteps of Ken Billington.
Yeah.
So does Sphere have an in-house console, or you have your own, or the bands rent them, or what's the deal there?
Yes to both. They have an in-house system that they use to control lighting for the movies, like Postcards from Earth, and I think they have a U2 movie as well. So they run lights for all of that and the soon-to-be opening Wizard of Oz experience. But then we'll bring in our own stuff and have to interface with their system and run our own show from there and take control of the house rig that they have.
How much time did you have once you moved in to welcome an audience into the space?
It was probably about a week or so worth of rehearsals in the building. But then we did, at least with Backstreet Boys, we did production rehearsals at another venue for a couple weeks beforehand to dial in more of our programming of the lights on the stage that we have brought in.
Who's your lighting designer for Backstreet Boys?
I know it was the lighting director is Graham Anderson, but I believe design was done by Silent House, and I think Baz was the overall production designer.
Oh, right. Okay.
And how do you like to work with designers as a programmer?
It's always different depending who you're working for, but I like getting inputs and being able to put their vision to life on whatever venue, whatever space we're in.
And what board do you normally use?
Grand MAs, usually Grand MA 2 or 3.
And how do you feel about having a voice controlled, AI controlled Grand MA?
I actually, funnily enough, I think in a space like the Sphere, it could be very helpful for how large it is, because you have to be quite far away from the console at times and seeing, every angle in that place to make sure it's
I bet. I can't imagine checking all your angles. You got to work out there.
Oh yeah, it's a big space and making sure you're not blasting any too much of the wall anywhere or staying out of people's eyes and everything. It's a challenge, but it's a fun one.
Is there a house designer there or a house crew that supervises so that various people who come in, they liaison with them to learn what's happened in the past?
Yes, there is a house crew, and they help come in, and they're very knowledgeable about making sure, at least on the network side, we get IP addresses and everything correctly as to not interfere with their programming that they have for the movies and or our stuff for our shows.
Do they have an in-house video team, too, that does some of the creation?
Yes, I believe they do. I'm not too familiar with the video side of stuff there, but I know that's they spend nights and nights and nights constantly updating everything for that.
I can imagine. So are you guys now using a rig as far as lighting is concerned, like similar to what they used at for the U2 concert where they had those towers, those actually moving towers? Well, they weren't moving for U2, were they? I keep thinking of an old Peter Gabriel tour where he had these towers behind him that would move. They looked almost like giraffes behind him. It was really cool. But are you pretty much doing that, basically having towers with some movers on them?
Actually, we have some light poles coming up the back of the stage for rear Followspots, but other than that, we don't have any towers as far as for Backstreet Boys. With Dead & Company, we had I think it was 18-foot sticks of truss with ParCans on them.
Oh my God, ParCans!
So we had focused ParCans at the Sphere every single day, which was a fun little thing. Yeah.
These were LED ParCans?
They were true ParCans.
Oh my God, good for them.
Climbing truss towers and focusing ParCans for the dead every single day.
It's funny you mentioned that because there's this terrific Genesis tribute band that's been around for decades. They're called the Musical Box. I don't know if you've ever seen them. I went to see them last year, and they have some of the original stage designs that Genesis used.
Wow.
From like The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. With the same back curtains. They use tungsten halogen fixtures, right? They use one of the original soundboards from the Genesis tour. They obviously dress up like Genesis. All the equipment is legit. They have Mellotrons. They've got high watt amps. They have everything that Genesis used during that time. And they basically do a Genesis show. So I think when you're doing like a tribute band for the dead, why not, right? Why not use the tungsten halogen lamps?
Yeah,
ParCans.
It looked great. We had the last year when we did our first run, we tried to have some lighting elements behind the screen there, but we ran into, just with how big it is, hitting structure, and it just not every seat in the house had a great view. So we decided, let's move it on stage. Our designer was like, "Yeah, let's get some sticks of truss and put ParCans on it." And it looked great. So my claim to fame is I'm the first person to focus ParCans at the Sphere.
And probably the last, too.
Yeah, probably.
Was there an issue because the Sphere, I haven't been there, haven't seen anything. I'm just aware of how it operates. But because the Sphere itself internally is essentially one big video wall where video mag from the performers is augmenting the performance, was there an issue with color temperature on using tungsten halogen PARs?
We didn't notice too much. They were more rear light for the band, so we still had our front spots and everything from there. We did spend a fair amount of time doing color balancing, but I don't recall it being too much of a hassle for us.
So they didn't mind the warm color from behind, which probably
we did
good.
a mix of warm and cool gel in those. So
wow, gel.
You put front light on the balcony rail?
Yes, there's a rail about halfway up that has a bunch of movers on it, and we used on Dead & Company, we used a follow me system out of that to take control of 4 or 5 lights to follow the band, and then the rest is just movers to focus on the stage.
David, did you hear what he just said before? Gel. He used gel.
Yeah. Oh, gel.
You remember that, right?
It was quite funny doing Dead & Company earlier this year, as WrestleMania was also in Las Vegas, and Upstaging provided the lights for both of those. So I think at one point, all of Upstaging's ParCans were in Las Vegas at the same time.
Oh, that's
or at least
funny.
a good portion of them were.
That is crazy, man. That's I haven't heard anything like that. I just think it's such an interesting contrast that you have this super high-tech venue with millions of damn LEDs and everything else in it. And then you have ParCans. I just think it's so awesome. Just the whole idea is so
It
cool.
created some phenomenal looks along the wall where you have the PARs behind them and the massive wall with all the content going on behind it.
What an interesting way to create a unique design, though, especially for Dead. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Before we start the show every week, we have a few minutes to talk to our guests before we start showing, just to calm them down because they have no idea what they're getting into when they come on our show. And we were talking to Matt about how much marijuana was being used during a Grateful Dead show. And he says there's one song whenever Dead & Company plays, everyone lights up. And what song is that?
I noticed it most when it was Fire on the Mountain was the one I could take a gander around, and there were a couple times during the show, but that was one I noticed a fair portion of it.
That's the cue.
Yeah.
Fire on the Mountain.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not asking if you partook of this. I'm just saying that the audience.
The building's pretty strict on those kinds of things, but I know it's a little tough to control a Grateful Dead crowd or Dead & Company crowd. We didn't run haze for Dead & Company, so it was always enjoyable during those moments. We're like, oh, we got haze now.
Well, in all fairness, these could all be people smoking marijuana that is medical.
Yep.
That is medical needs.
Oh, it's all medicinal. Absolutely.
Because everyone there is in their 90s.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We would
That's not
notice
true.
front of house is up on the 200 level in there, so we could look down onto the floor, and we would notice multiple people laying on the ground, just looking straight up to the top of the building and
I love
getting
it.
the full view of everything.
That's what we used to do, but we didn't have anything to look at up there.
Yeah.
We were seeing other things. We
Yeah.
were just like looking at the ceiling going, wow, man. Did you see
Yeah,
that dragon? That was so awesome. Yeah, right. Okay.
Being in that mosh pit there is pretty extraordinary.
Oh yeah.
Going backwards a little bit to bring our audience into it, not having gone to college and really learning on the job with full-time active experience, is there anything that you wished you had that you might have learned in college that you didn't get?
I think maybe some more time on a console and learning a little more programming stuff sooner. As when I went out on tour, I'll run opening lights for opening act bands sometimes, and early on it's a little daunting to look at the console and not know a ton about it. But it's you learn a fair amount of it by being out on the road.
What do you think the biggest challenge of being on the road is if you're, just getting going?
I would say probably the lack of sleep. That's a big one at first. Obviously, I know being gone from home, if you have a family or anything like that, is tough, having grown up with that. But it does have its moments, and it's always cool to when it works out and you can fly your loved ones out and experience a show or somewhere cool with you. And but sometimes you're doing shows, you're doing 4 or 5 in a row. The lack of sleep gets to you by the end of that.
What did Brad and your mom say when you said you wanted to follow in his footsteps and go out on the road?
I think they both were kind of like, I don't think we expected anything else.
This is the best we could do here. So good for him. Maybe he'll work at Sphere one day. Talking about the road, because we've heard a lot of stories about the road, especially from people like Jim Waits. What was the first thing that really shocked you about going on the road? And not literally, hopefully.
No, I think it's one, you learn how to make friends with people very quickly, because obviously you're stuck on a bus with them for months and months at a time. And it's having that, knowing to separate, hey, these are my coworkers, but we're also not technically at work at this point, but you kind of are at the same time, is a interesting balance. But you definitely learn a lot about people, and it's kind of fun to just, be with a whole new group of roommates on a tour bus for a few months.
How did you cope with the sleep issue?
Kind of just sleep when you can, typically when, after you load in, when doors are open before the show starts, there's usually a little dead time. So go take a nap and try to get the rest where you can. Try not to stay up too late on a day off.
What's a typical road schedule?
Most tours I've done, we start load in sometime between 8 and 9 a.m. So you get off the bus about 7:30 and go grab a bite to eat and catering. We'll load in till probably noon, 1 p.m. And that's about the time sound check and lighting focus and everything else take over till probably 3, 4 o'clock. And then you'll have some downtime until the show. Do the show for about 2 hours, then load out for anywhere between 2 to 4 hours. Get on the bus and go to the next city.
So when you get on the bus, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on shows.
And then you're waking up at 8 again to load into the next city, right?
Yep. And I've been on some shows where it's the artist went on stage late, or load out took longer because there were no loading docks or something, and you don't get on the bus till 3 or 4. The one solace is I always try to look at how long the drive is from one city to the next, because if you're doing a long one as an overnight, you're like, I'm guaranteed 8 hours of sleep tonight because it's an 8-hour drive.
That's when a bus is actually preferable.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, cool. I know I'm going to get a good amount of sleep tonight. Not the New York to Philadelphia's. Those are the short ones.
Okay, prediction time on your part. Are Followspots dead? You've been talking about using the Follow Me system. Are they on life support right now?
Follow Me or regular Followspots?
Followspots.
Yes and no. It depends on the show. And I think, with even with stuff like Follow Me, we still have operators for everything. So I think in a way it's actually almost just become safer. We've now taken the operators out from the ceiling and put them on the ground. A few years ago when I was doing Bob Seger, I think we were one of the last tours to still have actual truss spots up there. Halfway through the tour, we switched to Follow Me, and a lot of our safety concerns went away. And I think that's where it's really coming to play. I know there's some up and coming with some tracking systems there, but I think nothing beats the anticipation of an actual good operator sometimes.
Smart. Yeah, that makes sense.
Let's talk about programming for a second. Do you have like a specific process in setting up your console for one gig or another, and about your relationship with the designer, like how you like things to go?
I kind of, have ways I like to set up a console, how I'll have, my views on the screens, but I try to adapt for the show that I'm doing. I've done a lot more ballroom type shows here in Las Vegas where I've actually had quite a bit of creative freedom to do something, but I'm very limited by the size of the room as our trim heights are not very high.
So you're on the road, right? And then you moved to Vegas, right? Because you're doing some road stuff. Then you move, or did you do road stuff when you were living in Vegas?
I've moved to Vegas in 2015, and I've lived in Las Vegas. I've not gone anywhere else. So
all right. So you had this transition, and I assume you're in your early 30s. Is that correct?
28.
You're 28. Okay,
yeah.
So even younger than I thought. So you did the road stuff for how many years?
It's been 10 years, and I'm still continuing to do it. I actually go out on another tour here in about 2 weeks. So
okay, great. So you're continuing the road show.
Yeah.
How do you feel about going from doing touring to being in a residence situation? Have you found new freedom? Have you found more sleep? I mean, what are the advantages of that? And how would you, and now you obviously want to do road stuff again, so you're going out on the road again, but there must be advantages and disadvantages. And I'm sure young designers and technicians, when they're listening to the show, are saying, I don't know how much longer I could do road stuff, and not feel secure at a home and have a relationship and all that other stuff. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because you're a young man and you can now's your prime time, baby. You got relationships, you can have girlfriends, boyfriends, doesn't matter. You're free right now. But I'm sure there's something in the back of your mind saying, wouldn't it be great to settle down with someone? How do you feel about that?
I mean, it definitely, it's definitely nice having been doing the residency stuff for most of this year, having been at home, and, we're only doing 3 shows a week. So I'm actually have most of the week off and able to be at home and hang out with my girlfriend or friends and whatever else and just have a good time. But going out on tour is its own thing and has obviously a ton of fun there as well. And if you're on some tours where you don't have as many working days, it kind of is a half and half. But the residency is a great way, I think, for people that don't really want to tour as much. I know of several people in town that have either gotten off the road or they're just like, I like doing the residency thing because I don't have to go anywhere. But I know where it does get tough for some residency people is if you're not a Vegas local, especially here in Las Vegas, as those people end up getting usually put up in a strip hotel, and now they're stuck on the Las Vegas Strip for months at a time.
Oh yeah, right.
Matt, you went right to Vegas after high school. You had an internship. How long was the internship?
I was an intern for probably about 9 to 10 months there.
Oh, that's it?
They put me out on it. Yeah.
Wow. So,
yeah,
okay.
They had offered 2 internship programs. One that was more shop focused and learning how to take care of the gear and prep the gear to go to get out on tour. And then they had what they called their concert touring one, which was working directly with tour crews and prepping it for the specific tour, like labeling cable and taping all together or setting up networks and or even patching the lights to make sure everything's good for getting it out to go on the road.
So that's the one you did, the concert touring one.
I did both of them. I started with the shop one, and I said I wanted to go out on tour, and they said, all right, we'll move you into the concert touring one next time around. And then when that one was over, we went out on the road.
And being the network tech for the residencies at Sphere, what does that mean exactly?
So I helped try to set up the lighting networks and getting IP addresses and everything, or DMX nodes, anything else set up to not conflict with the house network, or even I did front of house tech / network for Journey, doing it, going through festivals and every other venue, making sure everything talks, there's no collisions, or if we need to talk to video or audio or anything like that. I very much enjoy doing the network side of things. That's been a lot of fun to do recently.
And then, like, for Backstreet Boys, how far in advance of the actual residency did you start? You said you've been out on the road with them, and is the same show that would have been out on the road?
No, this one is a completely new and unique show for Sphere.
With all the video.
Yeah, all the video, and we have big flying platform, and we were the first to do, I think, fly people up into the ceiling there. And it's been we have getting the wireless down for that was a challenge, but we have found solutions and made it work, and it's been rock solid all the time we've been there.
So how long was the tech time out of Sphere and in Sphere for that residency?
I think we did 2 weeks of rehearsal off site, and then we did another week worth of rehearsal in the Sphere.
Wow, that doesn't sound like a lot of time for a new show, huh?
No.
It was not a ton. I don't know what Silent House or any of the others had done beforehand. I know there was some prior stuff and tape manufacturing stage things for us, but as far as time of prepping the show at Volt Lights and getting it all loaded in was just those few weeks there.
Going back to your first tour, what was the first tour?
My first tour was actually it's called the Bad Boy Family Reunion Tour, and that was a big Diddy extravaganza tour.
Wow.
Ooh.
That still to this day is one of the largest tours I've ever done. We toured with, I want to say it was almost 20 different artists the entire time, as it was all of that Bad Boy record label just going all out. It was a very, very large show, but it was a ton of fun.
I started out very young in television land and had a hard time dealing with a lot of the curmudgeonly old stagehands that didn't want to take orders, shall we say, from a 25-year-old. So here there's a young 19-year-old Matt Schiller out there. How did you cope with being so young and having to deal with a lot of the much older people you had to deal with on every site you went to?
Yeah, you definitely run into that, and it's something that's there. But I think a lot of those places, if you continue with the road stuff, they might give you a little bit of grief the first time. When they see you come back the second, third, fourth, they start to recognize and say, "Hey, this person's been here before," and they're a lot easier to work with. I think it's just don't take anything personal, and if just keep doing your job, know what you're going to say, and try not to make them do things twice.
And they're like, finally, he's 21. We can take him out for a beer.
Exactly.
That's funny.
So we're gonna go a little darker now.
Uh-oh.
As you know, I'm sure you heard about that horrible accident that happened at Jacob's Pillow, where we lost a very valuable person of the theater community there due to an accident. I am sure you've seen some things on the road and also in residency where you feel that may be unsafe. How do you think we can make our workplaces safer?
To slow down. I think just taking your time, doing things right, wearing the proper protective gear. I make sure to wear my hard hat every day. I can't tell you how many number of shackle pins I've seen fall out of ceilings, and I can't always blame everybody up top for that, because you never know what might have happened to that person in the morning. They found out their cat's sick or something, or they're nervous, or it's their first day up in the grid and they're very nervous about what's going on. So I think just everyone taking a deep breath, slowing down. If something needs to take 10, 20 minutes longer to make sure it's safe, that's what we need to do. And just double checking everything you're doing before you do it, whether it's turning power on or even sometimes turning lights on. You take a show from North America to Europe, you want to make sure if you have incandescents that you have it set to 220 volt. You don't plug anything up and start sending hot glass everywhere.
But the schedule that you just outlined when you roll into town is only a few hours. That you really have to be on top at the top of your game to make sure that everything is done right and safely.
Absolutely, and that's definitely a big part of it. I think it's on all departments to kind of help manage that and make sure that we crew tours and local crews accordingly to make sure there's enough people to do it as well, and that no one person is doing too much every single day.
or enough qualified people. That's another challenge that you'll probably have, because at Sphere, I'm sure everybody who works in that building is a IA member and is qualified, at least well trained. It seems to be like a very high position job, a high level job amongst the local there. But depending on what city and what venue you're going into on tour, you probably get a whole mixture of people. A lot of them, they don't know the show.
Oh, absolutely.
You're coming in.
Yeah.
Because you only have a core crew there. A lot of people don't realize that when you come into a city, into a venue, only maybe 50% of the people there are with the show, maybe even less. So you're bringing in local people. How could you see that getting any better? I mean, are there sometimes mixed crews? I mean, are they always IA, or are there some people who may not be IA?
There's definitely not everywhere is IA. Obviously, in places like New York, just about everywhere is, and most of those guys there are very experienced and know what they're doing. But you go into some of these other areas where they don't get as many shows, they're not, and a lot of the time they are a little more inexperienced, and you just have to be aware of that. But usually there's a person or two, there's a local lead per department. They have a fair amount of experience in knowing what's going on to help direct anybody else that might need some help.
Have you ever hit a situation where the level of incompetency was so high that you may not get that show up?
Not so much like that. It definitely, we try our best to get it up, but we've definitely had some experiences where we need to relieve a stagehand because they were not working well or not safe, or in some cases overseas, really just you have a language barrier. And I understand that that's not their preferred, not their main language, but if they don't want to work, they don't want to work. And I can't do my job successfully if they're not going to work.
Taking David's question to the next level, if you're going out, I assume upstaging or whoever it is that's organizing the tour, they've pre-planned and done the advance work for the tour and the crewing. What if you go out and it's not adequate enough? Does somebody readjust?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they might add or move a person around if, let's say, there's personality conflicts there. I've definitely been on tours where we started rehearsals and we did the first couple of shows and we realized, hey, we need to add an extra person, and they'll add an extra touring person into it, or we need to add an extra 10 local hands to somewhere because we realized it's going to make a big difference in getting the show up in time and safely.
All right, so we're sort of running out of time, Matt, but I do want to cover one more area, actually two more, but this first one has to do with the future. I mean, you're 28 years old. You're probably going to be working for the next 40, 50 years.
Yep.
Surprise.
Yeah.
unless you make it really big on the slots in Vegas, I don't know. Where do you see the profession going? Where would your place be in the profession, and what your dreams are?
I definitely think that I think it will continue with what it is, but I'm hoping that artists and productions start to realize some of the mental health load and physical health load that has been a part of this industry for so many years, and help take care of that so it could be more accessible to people and continuing in and having good long careers, as it is a great career path, and as it affords, I think, financial freedom in a lot of ways to move forward in life. And I think we'll have to adapt, at least kind of in the programming and design world, with things like AI coming in. But I also think that there's nothing that compares to the creative mind of an actual human. Are you
do you have trepidations about AI at all as a programmer?
Little bits here and there. I think on the programming side, I could see it start to become problematic, but I also think that it could be used as a fantastic tool, like you mentioned earlier, with, let's say, a voice recognition AI. If you're somewhere like at a very large building or a stadium, you could say, hey, I want these 3 lights pointed at me here, and there's no input into a console, but you still have to tell it to do that. I think it's going to be more of a shift rather than an elimination. At least I hope.
Aren't you surprised that no console developer has come up with this yet?
I'm very shocked, but I hope to see it soon. One of the things I saw, I don't know if they still do it. I was at a festival, and there was an artist that was headlining before us. They were using AI to morph the artist on stage. So they would morph from, let's say, a skeleton playing the guitar to the drummer that's a zombie to the next one that's a vampire or some kind of animal morph. And that was very, very cool to see work live. And I think there are applications where it can be very unique that we couldn't do otherwise.
I was just wondering, because we're now into a second generation programmer, if there's anything that you want to change, Matt, that you've heard your dad continually say, well, back in my day, and bitch and complain about something. And now you're in the position as the future to fix something that he's been complaining about for decades. Is there anything like that on the horizon?
Funny enough, not so much I've heard on the programming or design side, as I know you'll probably kind of remember, as I do, early when I was getting in, was that shift to LED and how they said, oh, all the power is going to go down and shows aren't going to take as much. Well, what ended up happening was we just put more lights on things. So now there's just more to program with. So in a way, it's actually gotten much more complicated now because there's so many things you can do with the ability to pixel map and everything else, or lights that can take video into them, and you have all these added levels of it.
Are any of your shows requiring two programmers?
Sometimes I think it more ends up being there's a lighting programmer and a video programmer.
Wow.
But it depends on the show. I'm sure some of the larger ones do probably have two or a couple more. So
let me toss out the last question for the day. All these 20 to 25-year-old people with desires to come to Las Vegas, what's your advice?
Definitely, I would say if you want to get it, if you're just starting to get into the industry, talk to the lighting shops or audio shops or video, any of those others, whatever section you want to get into, and try to start from there and work, or even try to get into the union. 720 has been very, very good. I enjoy some of the work I've done with them in the past, and they offer a lot. They offer a very different side of this world that I think is just as lucrative, but you can stay in one place and work.
Good advice.
Very good advice. Well, Matt, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome information for our young listeners, and also for even older people like us who have been in the business for decades and decades. It's so interesting how, as much the things change, they kind of stay the same in a lot of cases. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So thank you so much. Well, the rocking sounds of the Luminoids, which are our in-house band, by the way, Dennis, tells us that once again you've spent another morning listening to Light Talk. You can hear our show on just about every podcast site out there. Check out our website at lighttalk.org and be sure to follow us on Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. That way you will not miss a second of Light Talk insanity.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. However,
if you do decide to litigate, you will have to deal with me, Snoot from the Snoot Group. And don't get it twisted. Just because I married one of these losers does not mean I will go easy on you. So don't with me.
Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers
and Sister,
coming to you from Long Beach, the Lone Star State, St. Parts, the Big Apple, and Sin City, Nevada.
And be sure to join us next week when we talk about more lighting shenanigans and serve you more of our casserole of nonsense.
Light Talk, broadcasting questionable Lumen knowledge and humor around the world.
So we'll see you all next Saturday morning. Thanks a lot, Matt. And Viva Las Vegas, baby. Bye-bye from Light Talk.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Lumen